Reputation isn't written in a single moment. It's carved, one strike at a time. Like a sculptor with a chisel, every choice you make leaves a mark. Each decision, each action, each habit, it all shapes the way people see you. One action might catch someone's attention, but it's repetition that cements their belief about who you are. Think about a sculptor working on stone. One swing of the chisel won't reveal the form, but strike after strike, angle after angle, the shape emerges. And here's the thing, every strike counts. Every stroke either brings the vision closer to reality or chips away at it in the wrong direction. Your life works the same way. Your reputation is being shaped right now, not by what you hope to do, but by what you consistently do. This is why the moments you think don't matter often matter most. Showing up on time every day says more than a grand gesture once a year. Following through consistently builds more trust than one impressive promise. People remember patterns more than they remember one-time performances. And over time, those patterns become the story they tell about you, your reputation. Here's what's important to understand. Repetition doesn't just tell the world who you are. It tells you who you are. When you show up with reliability again and again, you start to see yourself as reliable. When you handle challenges with integrity repeatedly, you start to see yourself as someone who can be trusted under pressure. Repetition shapes identity, and identity drives behavior. That's how the cycle works. The danger is repetition works in both directions. Just as small, consistent acts of excellence can build a great reputation, small, consistent lapses can quietly tear it down. A little neglect, repeated often enough, becomes the story people tell about you. And by the time it's obvious, the pattern is already set in stone. Your reputation isn't built in one big moment. It's built in the repetition of the smallest ones. The ones you think no one notices. The ones that seem too ordinary to matter. But people notice. They may not say it, but they're keeping a mental record. Every repetition adds weight to your reputation, either in your favor or against it. The truth is, you can't fake consistency. You can impress people once, but you can't fool them forever. Over time, your habits will show. Your patterns will reveal themselves. And those patterns will be the story of your character. You hold the chisel every day. The question is, are you striking in a way that's shaping the reputation you actually want? And that's what I want to share with you today. How to make sure the answer to that question is yes. How to be deliberate with every swing of the chisel. How to build a reputation that's not just respected, but trusted. And how to make sure that what you repeat is worth remembering. Reputation is nothing more than the shadow your consistency casts. It follows you everywhere, whether you like it or not. It's not something you can turn on and off at will, because it's built from patterns. People don't define you by what you did once. They define you by what you do over and over again. Your daily habits, your repeated actions, your predictable responses, those are what create the outline of your reputation. Think about it. One act of kindness is good, but consistent kindness is unforgettable. One moment of honesty is appreciated, but repeated honesty builds trust that can last a lifetime. You can't buy that kind of credibility. You can only earn it by showing up the same way again and again until people stop wondering if they can rely on you and start assuming they can. This is why reputation and consistency are inseparable. You can't have one without the other. If your actions change with your mood, your reputation will change with it. If your behavior is unpredictable, so is the trust people have in you. But if you are steady, if you are dependable, then over time, people begin to attach your name to those qualities without even thinking about it. Here's the part most people overlook. People are always watching patterns, even if they're not consciously aware of it. They might not notice the first or second time you follow through, but by the 10th time, the 50th time, they know it's not luck. They know it's who you are. Your consistency becomes your proof, and proof is more powerful than promises. And of course, the opposite is true. A few missed commitments might be forgiven, but repeat them often enough, and that becomes your pattern. And once it's your pattern, it's your reputation. That's why small lapses, when repeated, can do as much damage as big failures. People don't need dramatic reasons to lose trust. They just need repeated evidence that you can't be counted on. The good news is you control the pattern. You can decide today what you want the shadow of your consistency to look like. You can decide the habits, the responses, the standards that will define you in people's minds. But you can't decide it once. You have to decide it every day, because every day adds to the shadow. Every day chisels another detail into the statue. So ask yourself, what have you been repeating lately? If someone looked at your last 30 days, what would they believe about you? Would your pattern match the reputation you want to have? Or would there be a gap between who you want to be and what you're consistently doing? Because that gap will close one way or another, and it will close in the direction of your repetition. This is the heart of it. Your reputation isn't built in a moment. It's built in the hundreds of moments that follow. And if you want a reputation worth having, you have to commit to the consistency worth keeping. Trust isn't built in a single moment. It's built in layers. Like stacking bricks to form a wall, each act of reliability, each moment of integrity, each follow-through adds another layer. Over time, those layers create something solid, something strong enough to lean on. And the more layers you add, the more unshakable it becomes. The thing about trust is that it grows slowly. One dependable action might make someone hopeful, but it's the repetition that makes them certain. Show up once, and people might be impressed. Show up every time, and they'll start to depend on you. And that's the turning point, when people stop wondering whether you'll keep your word and start expecting that you will. That's the moment trust becomes a part of your reputation. These layers aren't built in grand gestures. They're built in micro moments. Returning a call when you said you would. Meeting deadlines without being reminded. Handling mistakes with honesty. These moments may seem small, but each one places another brick in the wall. Over weeks, months, and years, those bricks stack higher than you realize. Here's the part most people forget. Trust is heavy to build, but light to break. It can take years to create a reputation for dependability, but a few repeated lapses can start knocking bricks out of the wall faster than you can put them back. And when enough bricks are missing, the whole structure feels unstable. That's why consistency isn't just how you build trust, it's how you protect it. You see, there's a difference between intention and proof. You can intend to be reliable, you can want to be trustworthy, but intentions don't stack bricks. Proof does. Proof comes from action repeated often enough that no one questions it anymore. Your proof is your pattern, and your pattern is what people trust. Think about the people you trust most. It's not because they were impressive once. It's because they've shown you who they are over and over again. They've built the wall brick by brick, moment by moment, and they've guarded it by staying consistent. They didn't need to convince you. They just kept showing you. So if you want to be trusted, stop focusing on the big moments and start focusing on the next brick, the next call you keep, the next promise you honor, the next responsibility you carry without dropping. Those are the layers that last. And when you build them long enough, you don't have to tell people you're dependable. They already know. Because trust doesn't come from what you say about yourself. It comes from the wall you've built, brick by brick over time. And the people around you are leaning on that wall every day, whether you realize it or not. Repetition is powerful, but it's neutral. It will work for you or against you, depending on what you repeat. Just as consistent excellence builds trust, consistent lapses slowly chip away at it. And the danger is negative patterns don't always announce themselves loudly. They creep in quietly, disguised as harmless habits, until they've carved deep grooves into your reputation. It's easy to excuse a single slip, being late once, forgetting to follow through once, cutting a corner once. These don't destroy trust on their own. But here's where the danger lies. When just this once becomes just one more time. Over weeks and months, those little moments add up. They become a pattern. And once a pattern forms, it becomes the story people tell about you. Repetition works in both directions because people remember what they see often, not what they see occasionally. If you show up late more often than you show up on time, people stop being surprised by it. They start expecting it. If you speak carelessly more often than you speak thoughtfully, people adjust their expectations downward. Your reputation follows your frequency. The tricky part is that damaging repetition often feels small in the moment. It doesn't feel like a major decision. It's just skipping a step, delaying a response, ignoring a standard just this once. But every time you do, you're handing the chisel to the wrong sculptor, the one that's shaping a reputation you don't want. And the more those strokes land, the harder they are to erase. And this is why self-awareness is critical. You can't change a pattern you don't notice. You have to step back and look honestly at your recent actions. What have you been repeating? What habits have been showing up in your life so often that they're beginning to leave a mark? Sometimes the most important work you can do is simply to see the pattern before it solidifies. And here's the good news. Negative repetition can be interrupted. You can break the cycle by replacing harmful habits with intentional ones, not by promising to do better in the abstract, but by actively choosing what to do instead. If you're known for missing deadlines, start setting smaller, earlier checkpoints and hitting them without fail. If you've developed a reputation for being reactive, practice pausing before responding. Every interruption of the old pattern is a vote for a new one. But you can't just stop the wrong repetition. You have to start the right one. You can't leave the space empty because habits will always fill the gap. Decide exactly what you want to repeat. Decide what actions, if seen over and over, would create the reputation you want most, and then repeat those relentlessly. Because whether you realize it or not, your reputation is being shaped every day. The only question is, are you chiseling in the right direction or letting small, unnoticed habits carve away at what you've worked so hard to build? Your reputation will never rise higher than the alignment between your actions and your identity. If what you do consistently doesn't match who you claim to be, people will believe the actions, not the claims. Words might set an expectation, but repetition confirms reality. And over time, reality always wins. When your actions and your identity are in sync, credibility becomes effortless. If you say you're dependable and you keep showing up on time, no one questions it. They just know it. If you say you value honesty and your track record proves it, no one doubts it. They trust you automatically. That's the beauty of alignment. The more your behavior matches your identity, the more your reputation takes care of itself. And the opposite is also true. When your actions don't match your words, you create cracks in your credibility. You might not see the damage at first, but people start noticing the gaps. They start lowering their expectations. And once their expectations shift, so does your reputation. That's why alignment isn't optional. It's the foundation everything else stands on. The key is to decide who you want to be known as, and then reverse engineer the actions that prove it. Want to be known as someone who's reliable? Then reliability needs to be visible in your patterns, not just your intentions. Want to be known as a leader? Then lead in the small moments, not just the big ones. The signature behaviors you repeat most often will become the traits people attach to your name. Your identity isn't just what you tell yourself. It's what you train yourself to believe through repetition. And belief is built with evidence. If every day you cast votes for a certain identity through your actions, you'll begin to see yourself that way. And when you see yourself that way, you act in alignment without forcing it. That's when repetition becomes natural. Ask yourself, if someone followed me around for 30 days and took notes, what identity would they conclude I have? Would it match the person I want to be known as? Or would there be a disconnect? Because if there's a gap, your repetition will close it one way or the other. Alignment is about making sure your habits send the right message before you ever open your mouth. It's about living in such a way that your behavior speaks for you. And the more your identity and your actions match, the sharper and stronger your reputation becomes. Like a chisel hitting the stone in just the right place over and over again. Because at the end of the day, people don't remember what you said you valued. They remember how you lived. And how you lived repeated enough times becomes exactly who you are in their eyes. A strong reputation isn't built in a rush. It's built in the long game. And here's the truth about the long game. It rewards the patient, the disciplined, and the consistent. It's not about looking impressive today. It's about being reliable for years. People don't form a lasting opinion about you after a single great week. They form it after watching you repeat the right behaviors so many times. They stop being surprised by them. The most respected reputations are earned over seasons, not sprints. They're shaped when people realize this isn't a phase. This is who they are. And that only happens when you keep chiseling long after the excitement fades. The discipline to keep doing the right thing, even when no one seems to notice, is what turns effort into legacy. But here's the trap. Once you've built a strong reputation, it's easy to relax, to think the work is done, to assume your past consistency will carry you forward forever. That's when complacency starts chipping away at what you've built. Reputation doesn't just require building, it requires maintaining. You can't coast on yesterday's credibility. Every day is another swing of the chisel. Every day confirms or questions the image you've carved. Maintenance means staying intentional. It means keeping the same standards that built your reputation in the first place, even when shortcuts look tempting. It means showing up with the same commitment, whether eyes are on you or not. If your reputation is worth having, it's worth protecting. And protection is just consistency continued. This is why patience matters. Some of your best work won't be recognized right away. Some of the habits you repeat won't seem to make an impact immediately. But the long game isn't about instant return, it's about accumulation. Each day adds weight to your credibility. Each month strengthens the structure. And when enough time passes, you've built something that can weather storms. There will be seasons when your consistency feels invisible, when the progress is so slow, you question if it's even working. That's when you have to remind yourself, the chiseling is happening whether you see it or not. Reputation is being shaped in real time, and the reward goes to the one who refuses to put down the chisel. The long game doesn't demand perfection. It demands persistence. You will have days when you're off your best. The key is to keep going anyway, because the day you stop showing up is the day the chisel stops shaping. And in the long game, stillness isn't neutral. It's erosion. If you want a reputation that lasts, play the long game. Keep striking, keep shaping, keep proving over and over that the person you've shown the world is exactly who you are. Because in the end, your reputation will be nothing more and nothing less than the sum of the patterns you protected. Your reputation is not built by accident. It's shaped deliberately, strike by strike, action by action. Every choice you've made up until now has been carving the image people see when they think of you. And every choice from this moment forward will keep carving either toward the reputation you want or away from it. Remember, reputation is the shadow of your consistency. That trust is built in layers, brick by brick, moment by moment. That repetition can work for you, but it can also work against you if you're not intentional. That alignment between your actions and your identity is non-negotiable. And that the long game is where reputations are truly forged and protected. But if you take one thing home with you, let it be this: your repetition is your chisel. Every day you hold it in your hands. Every day you get to decide which way it strikes. You can't undo every mark you've made in the past, but you can choose every mark you make from here on out. And over time, those choices will define not only how others see you, but how you see yourself. So protect your patterns, guard your consistency, align your actions with the person you want to be known as. And remember, when it comes to your reputation, it's never one big moment that matters most. It's what you repeat over and over again. The chisel is in your hands. Use it with intention.